What up, what up? Welcome back, y'all. Meet me on the 50. Thanks for joining me again. If you haven't already, you already know what to do. Hit the red box, subscribe, thumbs up, comment below after the video. Let me know what you thought of it. I appreciate everybody chiming in last video, talking about FAMU and their uprising and their re-emergence back to the top. Because I know y'all gonna make it back to the top, fam. So yeah, everybody who chimed in, appreciate the love. Everybody showing up, showing out. And yeah, if you haven't already, go ahead and I'll leave a link. Go ahead and click the link. Go ahead and watch that video. Let me know what you thought. What you think about FAMU. You know, their current situation and how they can come back. Not come back, but you know, they took a break. So, you know, it's a rebuilding time frame for them. So anyway, this video is not about that. You see the title of the video. We getting into band media teams. And the dynamic about that, man. Just band media teams. Nothing about musicality. We ain't talking about 8-5. We ain't talking about none of that. We talking about band media teams, man. Band media teams, if you're unfamiliar with the term, marching band has gotten to the point where it's so big that look, marching band has always been huge, but it's at the point now where footage has been requested worldwide. We ain't talking about nationwide. We talking about the demand for band footage is so wide that I want to say there's a Norfolk State video that's almost at 1 million views in Germany. I think Germany is one of the main countries. Somebody from the Spartan Legion, let me know, because I'm probably misquoting it, but there's a few countries that I had no idea even paid attention to HBCU college bands. So band media has become essential. It's become, you know, it's something that you can't have band nowadays without band media. You can't. You know, you perform somewhere. If there's no footage showing what you did, whether you took a L or a W, then nobody's going to care. It didn't happen. If you can't see it, if you can't go back and look for it on YouTube, it ain't happened. You know, it used to be a time and day back in, you know, before, you know, let's get into that. Let's get into that. Band media teams, the history of that. How did we start this whole thing? You know, how did the term band media, you know, how did that even begin? So before YouTube, before Facebook, before any streaming media site, there were guys like Tape Master. You know who Tape Master is. Hey, Tape Master, if you're watching this, man, respect, salute. Y'all make sure y'all go follow Tape Master's YouTube channel. Just search for Tape Master, all one word. Folks like Gerard, you know, the owner of HBCU bands. You have folks like that out there with one of these on. Let me post a little picture right here. Boom. One of these things on their shoulder. You had one of them guys showing up. They record the footage. And it wasn't 5 or 6 people. It was like 1 or 2 guys with one of these cameras on. And then they get home. They copy the footage from their camera into a VHS tape. And then our sad soul, we be at home like, man, I'll send you money. Send me a copy. Send me a copy. So you send them money via what's it called? Western Union or whatever it may be. They get the money and then they mail you a copy in the mail. That's how band media footage was shared. That's how it began. It wasn't readily accessible like it is now. So that's the beginning, you know. Fast forward to now. And what began as a select few of people on the field, like I mentioned, Tape Master or Gerard, has turned into a clusterfuck, man. to keep it simple, it's a lot going on right now when it comes to cameramen out at games. So now what used to be 1 or 2 or 3, is now roughly 10 to 15 guys with cameras now at the games. Or battle the bands or whatever it may be. Then you got to count the people in the stands with their cell phones. And then add on top of that, each marching band, for the most part now, has their own in-house media teams. So I caught firsthand just seeing this whole dynamic when I went down to for the Dallas Battle of the Bands between Texas Southern and Southern. Shout out to Garrett, man. I'll get into that later on, but shout out to Garrett. Garrett is the director of media down at Southern University. But I saw how it was a frenzy. I mean, the 50-yard line before at the zero quarter. I want to say from each sideline, like here's the zero quarter. Here's the 50-yard line on the visiting side. Here's the 50-yard line on the home side. On that whole 50, man, it was nothing but just cameras lined up from end to end, man. End to end. So I had never seen nothing like that. It just goes to show me that in the South, I'm from Maryland. So, band is nowhere near taken nowhere near as seriously as it is in the South. I'm a band head stuck in a region where it's not taken as seriously, but I had seen firsthand what, it was just shocking to me. So anyway, I know this video is about band media team beef, and we're going to get into that. We're going to segue into that. Just want to just finish the topic on what, it's nothing wrong with being it's nothing wrong with media teams. I'm a media team. If you cover marching band, anything, you covering the news aspect, you're covering, new director, new leadership, and you discussing it, you're a media team. If you're doing reaction videos, if you record footage and you uploading footage, you're a media. You're presenting band media content. You're a content creator. There's nothing wrong with being a band media content creator. You can never have too many media teams. You can't. But what you can have is too many people doing the same thing. And that's part of the reason why we've gotten into, the topic of this video. You can never have too many media teams, but you can damn sure have too many cameramen. Or too many people doing the same. If everybody else is out there doing interviews, a band director can't get interviewed but so many damn times. Imagine if instead of cameramen, we have folks out there with microphones that's interviewing, the director of bands 30 times before he leaves. That's redundant, and it's going to cause problems in the long run. And you see what I'm saying? It's just conflict because it's too many people doing the same thing. You find your lane. That's, once you find your lane and it's different from what everybody else is doing, then you're straight. You know what I'm saying? There's more than one way to skin a cat, y'all. That's all I'm saying. So get into the topic of discussion here. So I think about a week ago, there was a whole lot going on between Showtime Web and the Southern University media team. They both got on, Garrett did. Yeah, Garrett got on the live, and so did Chris. Chris is AKA Showtime Web. I guess they both aired out their sides on the whole situation between the two of them, and it all boils down to stepping on each other's toes, y'all. We all have a job to do, especially when you an in-house media team. You have even more of a job to do. Your job is to show your band in the best light. Your band. All you're concerned about is your band, right? And then you factor in third party media teams like a Showtime Web or whoever it may be. Their sole responsibility is the content. You know what I'm saying? So you got to ask yourself the question then becomes like, what is more important? Showing bands in the best light or the content being put out? Being the first to get the content out. Showtime Web, I met him a few times. He actually came up to Maryland, like last year for one of the high school battle of the bands between Largo and Eastern High School. Definitely, he's cool, man. He's a very quiet dude. You know what I'm saying? He gets in and gets out. He brought in like 3 or 4 cameras, man. He was mob deep with equipment. He's all by himself, but he had you know what I'm saying, all of his gear out there. He didn't want to be on camera. He came across as very humble, very chill dude. Just very, you know what I'm saying, wanting to get the footage or whatever and get up out of there. I had no problem with him at all. You know what I'm saying? He just said something on Rogers Brothers interview that kind of, I don't know, it was kind of concerning. I mean, it's coming from me anyway, because I've been passionate about this craft, meaning marching bands, HBCU bands, since my first Bayou Classic that I saw on NBC, when NBC used to air it every year on Turkey Day, on Thanksgiving. That was back in 97, I want to say. I got bit by that bug like around 97, and since then, it's been a long ass time. Since then, I've been just as devoted, just as dedicated to preserving and just making sure that HBCU bands are shown and given the light that they deserve, that it deserves, man. He said that then the difference between his company and other companies is that his focus is to get the footage up sooner than later. You know, he doesn't focus on editing footage, because a lot of people get on them saying, "Hey, Showtime, you know, you posting, you didn't edit it. You know, it's raw straight off your camera. You know, you got folks putting in time, putting in work, making sure the bands look good. You got the right clips. You don't have a dancer, you know, kicking another dancer in the face, whatever it may be." Showtime's going to get the footage as it happened, and he's going to upload it. I can see the point behind that, you know, because he compared it to a news source like a CNN or ESPN or whatever, not ESPN, a CNN or something, one of these news channels, and they present you the news footage as it happened, you know, the raw, uncut footage. And I get it, you know, in a news environment, a news reporter has no allegiance and has no, you know, they have no allegiance to the culture that they're reporting on. You know what I'm saying? So you really can't compare what you do to what they do, unless, you know what I'm saying, you do fall in that category. If you do fall in the category of being just a media guy and you have no love for the culture of marching band, then that's a whole nother issue, man, honestly. I mean, band media etiquette. I mean, is that something we need to address? I mean, do we need to discuss? Do we carry responsibility as a band media team? Do band media teams require some kind of etiquette? Do we carry responsibility to the culture of marching bands when we post this footage up? You know, do we have requirements to adhere to? Depends who you ask, but if you ask me, absolutely we do. Absolutely. If you love this craft like I do, and your priority above all should be to protect and to preserve, you know what I'm saying? To protect and to preserve the culture of marching bands. If that's not your priority, then at that point, you know what I'm saying, you become a culture vulture at that point. And I'm not saying that's what Showtime is. I'm just saying that is the case for anybody. If you're in it just for the dollar or just trying to get views or whatever it may be, and you're just presenting this raw footage because you have no concern for how the bands that you're recording are looking, then you're not doing it for the love. You're not doing it for why I do it. You're not doing it for how I can name other people. I'm not going to name any other companies that I think are thinking along my mind frame, but there are a bunch of other media teams that do it for the love. Yeah. So I will say, you know, the beef was legit between the two of them. Two different perspectives, you know what I'm saying? One's coming from an in-house media team for a school media team, and the other from a third party, you know what I'm saying? Like his role was, his whole take was, I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I'm not that guy. I'm not that band media edit, you know what I'm saying, make it look good kind of guy. I just want to get you the raw footage. I don't know. Let me know what y'all think about that. That point, would you rather have the raw uncut, you know what I'm saying, that may show bands in a bad light? Imagine a fight breaks out. You know what I'm saying? There's been a couple instances where bands have gotten into fights with each other, and it's become a black eye on marching bands. You know, you think back to the SU Prairie View fight. You can think back to the A&T Norfolk drumline fight, or whatever, the Spartan Guards versus the drumline for A&T's, that fight. Anyway, the point is, there is responsibility. We do hold some kind of responsibility as cameramen, you know what I'm saying, shooting footage. If you don't agree with that, then I don't know what to tell you. I will say this though. Understand that if you're a new media team, the odds are against you right now. It's not looking good. Only because each school, you know what I'm saying, has an in-house band media team for the most part. There are only a few schools left that don't have band media teams. So with that, you got to think about, how do you stay relevant as a third-party media team and not step on toes? Still get your content out, you know what I'm saying? And how do you do that? How do you stay relevant as a third-party media team and get along with the in-house? Like, you got to think about it. You want to be at these events with media teams that are recording the bands that are participating. Like, why do they need us at that point? You know what I'm saying? So it boils down to three things, three important things. All right. I'm going to say professional and proper gear. You have to have the right gear. You have to have the right credentials, meaning if you have a platform of a substantial platform, I don't say if you have like 1 or 2 followers on Facebook or YouTube, whatever it may be, if you're not on the radar, and you don't have a huge following, I don't think there's going to be a big issue with you being in the stands recording, but on your camera phone or whatever it may be. But if you have a platform of substance, with a decent following, have the credentials, get the credentials, work with the administration for the school that you're going to be going to, and get the right credentials. And then thirdly, man, own up and accept the fact that you have an ethical responsibility as a cameraman, as a media team. You got to understand these directors of bands, these bands. I feel like I'm preaching right now. I don't want to get into a preachy kind of talk right now, but my stance is that you have to have responsibility as a media team. So don't shoot just for the views. Make sure you're doing it for the culture, and if you don't have a passion for it, find something else. Find something else to shoot. Find something that you are passionate about. If the bands is not it, man, we already oversaturated with media teams. And there's so many of us that are passionate about it. You doing all of us dirty by posting footage, any and every old footage that may or may not make a band look good. So when you post stuff and then you become like the face of third-party media teams, now we all look like that too. You know what I'm saying? So if it's not something you love, fall back. And that's all I can really say about that. It's going to be, like I said, if you're just starting out, though, it's going to be 10 times harder for you to get a foothold right now, just because of that dynamic. How much time I got? I'm rapping for 20 minutes. Yeah, just understand that bands have their own teams now. Getting over this cold, and that you gotta be good at what you do, y'all. Be good at what you do first off, man. Have the gear, have the credentials. Be what you say you're gonna be. You know what I'm saying? Build the rapport with the schools, especially the schools, man. If you don't have a rapport with the schools, reach out to the directors of bands. Reach out to the assistant directors. Reach out to the media teams, man, and build a rapport. I want to go back to the Texas Southern game versus Southern back in Dallas when I was down there. I got to the event. Well, the Battle of Bands was on Friday. That was fine. Everybody recorded that. I got some good footage on that. But at the game, I didn't have a media pass. So I intended to just come down and sit with Southern, you know what I'm saying, just shoot from this, just in the stands next to Southern. But I saw Garrett, and by me having a rapport and a good relationship with Garrett, and that's just another thing, man. A lot of people beating up Garrett, say they think he did some shady stuff. I don't know what the man, that's not really my concern. I don't know if it was true or not. If what happened, if he called the police, whatever it may be, on what that whole situation was. But I know in my personal situation, I'm a third-party media guy, just like anybody, just like any of these other media teams, and I didn't have media credentials to get down to the field. I walk over to Garrett. He's over there editing as he does, editing on his laptop during the game. Well, actually, this is during the 0 or before the 0 was going to start, and he was doing some stuff on his laptop. And I said, "Gee, I don't have a media, I don't have a media pass, bro. Is there anything you can do? You know what I'm saying? You know, to get me onto the field?" You know, he could have been like, "Nah, bro. You know, like, there's nothing I can do. I mean, you can probably sit over here, do whatever, whatever." The man told me, he said, "Ed, I got you. Just go onto the field, and if anybody asks, you know what I'm saying, like where your pass is, just let them know you with me. And I can get you a pass if that's the case." Easy as that. So I know for a fact G ain't a bad dude, you know what I'm saying? At all. You know, he looked out, didn't have to. Come halftime, I guess he couldn't get his guy up to the, on top of the, what do you call it? On the top of the, the top of the stadium, so he can get a good view of the halftime show. He couldn't get his guy up there fast enough. So myself and Gerard from Marching Sport, aka HBCU Bands, we was up there recording, and we got the footage, got the halftime shows, whatever, and we get down to the 50 afterwards, and Garrett was just, so you can tell something was up, but he had said, "Man, I need a favor," and he said, "Look, I didn't get halftime. Is there any way I can get it? A copy of it." I didn't even hesitate. I gave the man my card, my SD card, out of my camera, on the spot. Boom, he copies it over to the laptop, and now if you go check out the the halftime footage from that game, from the Dallas from the Texas Southern game this past season, that's my halftime show. As shaky as it looked, because it was windy as hell up there, but that's mine. That's what it's about. It's like when you build relationships like that with each other, then it becomes more than just third party versus in-house or whatever it may be. It's human beings versus, not even, it's human beings working with human beings. So yeah, I don't know. I'm off on a tangent right now, but the point of the video is, it don't have to be band media team beefs at all. Just find lanes, find your lane, and stay in the lane. You know what I'm saying? We are oversaturated, but realize that we're oversaturated. Find a lane that nobody else is in, and you good. But if you do want to stick with cameras, you still want to be a cameraman, that's fine. But just understand it's difficult. But when if that's your angle, I want you to realize you've got to have the proper gear. You can't come out there with a camera phone and iMovie on your phone and thinking you're about to do something. Had the proper gear, had the credentials, and had an ethical responsibility to make sure you doing the right thing as far as what you're posting. All right. Any feedback you got? I'm sure I left off some points that I meant to make, but go ahead and leave them in the comments. I'll try to jump in there and we can chop it up in the comment section. If you haven't already, y'all, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like, make sure you thumbs up, make sure you share this out. Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and end it right there, and then we're gonna get back to it for the next talk. All right, meeting you on the 50. Out.